Test 1, 2. 2, 2, 2. 2. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. The Lord said, confession good for the soul. So right now,
all I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I wanted was to be a gangster. And shot call to be known with them niggas letting shots off. Either that or the right hand to the top dog. Funny how we see vanity, not the lives lost. Can't be focused on the life that's hopeless. Out there pumping, not knowing the Lord will kill you for that hocus pocus. Used to roll with niggas that cooked up with weaponry. Same ones claim they love you. I had your life in jeopardy. And I know my mother wants success with me. But that G should take a girl straight to ecstasy. Remember running with bruh, even though we did the wrong thing. My life would've been a lot different if I fell up under Rob's wing. Was too sincere for a wicked game. Shame the Lord's name. Now we afflicted with pain. All I ever wanted was to be respected by stand-up niggas, not knowing that them handcuffs custom made the face. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I wanted was to be a gangster. I ain't lying, I was close to dying. Knew I wanted to live, but I wasn't trying. I was defiant, not knowing that this ain't how we live. This just how they design it. Cause when you in them streets, you get more endemic. They don't tell you gon' be on papers and no restrictions. My father said a hard head to make a soft ass. I didn't care, I wanted fear when I walked past. In a place where a black man's blood is cheap, I thank the Lord for the day I was on Lake Street. Pissing in the cup, back and forth to court, found the DC school. I swear it felt like I cried on that fucking porch. The Lord said, my sheep, they ain't hear my voice. Asked me why I'm UPK, I told them I ain't have a choice. They said, oh, they 50-50 and what's gonna come to pass. The Lord called me out the world and that's not really fair. All I wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger. All I wanted was to be a gangster. Isupk until it hit the fan. I want power and a throne, nigga, fuck them grams. All I wanted was to be a gangster, but I was real as a righteous man. And now got the upper hand, gotta promote this brand. Correct whole multitudes until they all understand. If I can't get that crown, Lord, then put me in the hands of someone more mighty and make me this hit man. Reminiscing on the pain that was felt. Shit, I was in the jail. Shit, I needed help. But Twan was locked up in the judge put man on the shelf. Heavy cry cause it felt like I was left by myself. All I wanted was to impress niggas with my grinding. Now I ain't trying to prove shit to nobody but Muhammad. Cause most these niggas lying, pump smoke. One time for the most high, he made me a cutthroat. Cause all I ever wanted, go ahead, was to smash my opponents. Go ahead, stacking cash, not knowing it wouldn't last. Then gotta hope you accept my atonement. Go ahead, cause all I ever wanted was to be a gangster. Little did I know I was in danger. Decisions that I made provoked the Lord's anger. Prayed to him all the time and I was just a stranger.
Most High in Christ. Shalom. Yahweh Shem Yahweh Bakatah, all my brothers. Yahweh Shemar Atah Shem Yahweh all my sisters. Shalaki. Oh. Salaki. Y'all saying Yahweh Shemar Atah Shem Yahweh all my sisters. This is the Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge out here in Durham, North Carolina. Precinct Officer 500,1 holding down, you know what I'm saying, the Brotherhood class until Officer 500 Yarmak arrives, which should be shortly. You know what I'm saying? Of course, this Brotherhood class, you know what I mean, is an important class, as are all our classes. This class is rooted in teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians, who are the true Jews according to the Bible. It's rooted in teaching them, you understand, everything that the devil never taught them. In the sense that in America, it makes sense to hate your brother. In America, it makes sense to look down on your sister. In America, you understand, a Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian man or woman is the lowest thing, you know what I'm saying, imaginable. So in this society, even if you're a Black, Hispanic, or Native Indian, your mission in life is to not be like the rest of us. Your mission in life is to not be looked at like the rest of us. And many of us have seen this in action. Many of us have been that person before. You understand? We've been, you know what I'm saying, duped into believing that it's a good thing to say, oh, I'm Black, but I'm not like them. You understand? Yeah, I'm Hispanic, you know what I mean, but I'm a Proud Boy. Good night, right? Like that cat from the Proud Boys that Commander John Yohana, you know what I'm saying, diced into a gazillion pieces. You know what I mean? It makes sense to do that. But this Bible teaches us as Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians that we're not supposed to do that. We're not supposed to ever, we're supposed to love each other, period. No stipulations. You understand? No guesses, kind of maybes. Well, is he a drug addict? Oh, he's a drug addict. I don't gotta love him. You know what I'm saying? Is the sister whoring herself out? Oh, I don't gotta deal with her. I don't gotta love her. You know what I'm saying? That's not in the Bible. And our people in America today are in such a stupor that no matter what you're doing, you can be an upstanding citizen. You can be a Black man that just happens to work at McDonald's. And some highbrow, high-nosed Negro will look down on a brother or a sister. You know what I'm saying? You can be a sister with no record at all, but because you got a certain hairstyle, you look down on her. Or she must be ratchet. You know what I'm saying? Or she must be this. He must be this. You know what I mean? But that is a sin according to the Bible to hate your people. It's a sin. You know what I mean? And while we're waiting for Officer Yarmak to arrive, you know what I'm saying? Let's read that a little bit. Salakia, bear with me. My brother, of course, was bringing some of these scriptures out just yesterday, right? This is Bedrock 1 West right here. The book of Leviticus, chapter 19 and verse 17. Thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. The Bible says you cannot hate your brother in your heart. You cannot do it. It didn't ask you if you would please not do it. The Bible, the Most High spoke, man. He gave these laws, you know what I'm saying, statutes and commandments to the children of Israel. And he said, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thine heart. You know what I'm saying? It's a sin to hate your brother. It's a sin to hate your brother, a fellow Israelite. I'm talking to who? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. I'm not talking to no other races of people. Why would I be talking to them? The Bible ain't talking to them. You know what I'm saying? The Bible's not talking. These laws were only given to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. That's why it says in Psalm 147, right? 19, it tells you, you know what I mean, that the Most High only gave these laws to the Israelites. And I'm paraphrasing, and it says, as for his judgments, as for the punishments for breaking these commandments, the other nations haven't known them. That's why it says he hath only dealt so with one. It's like let me go read it. You know, I don't want to butcher it too much in the paraphrase. So let me go to it real fast. Salakia 147. The book of Psalms, chapter 147, and verse 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. That's who he showed his word to. This Bible, the word of God, the word of the Most High, he showed it unto Jacob. Jacob is the father of the 12 tribes of Israel. His name was changed to Israel. You understand? Meaning, or Yasha Allah, meaning prince of the power. You understand? That's what his name was changed to, right? His statutes and his judgments unto Israel. So his laws and the penalties for breaking those laws were only given to Israel, to the children of Israel. And just in case you read in that scripture and you think, well, that don't mean he only gave it to them. Let's read some more. Verse 20. He hath not dealt so with any nation. And as for his judgments, they have not known them. Literally telling you straight up, he did not give these laws to anybody else. So if a black man thinks that he's going to get over by hating black people, then you got another thing coming. Why? Because the Lord loves black people. The Lord loves Hispanics and Native. It's like Latinos and Native Indians. The Lord loves the Isupk brothers, so-called Mexicans in cages at the border. He loves them. He loves them. The Lord loves, you understand, the so-called Native American Indians who are getting drunk and high with every kind of, you know what I'm saying, opioid, whiskey bottle, you know what I mean, every kind of, you know what I'm saying, vice you can find on Native Indian reservations. He loves them dearly. And he loves the so-called black man and black woman. You understand? Jamaicans, Haitians. You understand? He loves them. And when people mess with them, he gets angry. But because we didn't follow the law, statutes, and commandments, he told us, I'm gonna let them mess with you. You don't want to listen to me. You don't want me to be your power. No sweat. Fend for yourself. And we see what we got. You understand? But that's who he cares about. You see that conflict going on over in Israel? That conflict going on between Palestine and all of this? The Most High don't give a damn about none of that. You understand? He don't care about none of that. He don't care about none of them people. They showing little kids getting their arms and legs blown off over there. You know what I'm saying? Like we supposed to have some kind of compassion and care or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Now again, in Isupk, we not, are we sensitive to what it's like when people are dying? Of course. I'm saying Isupk not wishing death on nobody. But I know that in my black neighborhood, both so-called Jewish man who is not a real Jew, I know that he stole the identity of my people, yet he's in our neighborhoods owning all the tenement buildings. I know that much, making the rent go sky high, and when he's done with us, he's allowing gentrification to happen. I know that much. I also know, you know what I'm saying, that on the other side, them other people, they own all the different little corner stores and grocery stores and all the different halal stands that be in my people's neighborhoods, and we can't even, you know what I'm saying, they wouldn't even think about letting us get a restaurant in their neighborhood. You know what I mean? It wouldn't happen. It would not happen. So why should we have a horse in that race? We don't. You know what I'm saying? Salaki, bear with me. Yeah, we don't have a horse in that race. And the Lord doesn't have a horse in that race either. He knows that they are enemies of us, and he knows that when it's all said and done, if they blow he gonna let them blow each other to smithereens if need be. Black man, Hispanic man, Native Indian man, you should not concern yourself with this at all. Just like you shouldn't concern yourself talking about some stop Asian hate. Stop Asian hate, man. Shoot. Again, when's the last time you went to Chinatown and there was a whole block of just, nigger stores that they were buying stuff from? Where? You know what I'm saying? When's the last time you've been to Koreatown in LA? And that was the case. When's the last time you went to Chinatown in Manhattan or where I'm from, you was on Main Street in Queens? When's the last time you went down one of them streets and there was a bunch of Tyreek's clothing store? You know what I'm saying? When was the last time that you saw, Shaniqua's shoe store? You know what I mean? When's the last time you saw, Nana's, Nana's, banana pudding bakery? You know what I'm saying? Bananas Bakery. And then when you see that? No, but you go to our neighborhood, you see they Chinese stores. You seen that they run in the nail shop. You see they run in the hair, the where all the sisters going to buy their hair, right? Because our sister love to, like Officer Abraham said it, Yaki B. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it right. I just know that Adawan says that. Whatever kind of weave, and extensions or whatever their sisters is buying, they buying it from the Asians. And the minute you don't act right, they grabbing you by your actual hair and throwing you out the front door with no remorse. Nail shops, hair shops, grocery stores, fruit stands in your neighborhood. You don't own nothing in your neighborhood, let alone in theirs. But we got to be talking about. You gonna tell us about some? When was he? The so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians have given more love to the Asians than any other race. We've given more love to the Palestinians than any other race. We've given more love to the so-called Jewish man than any other race. We've given more love, you understand, to the oppressor than anybody else. Absolutely. I mean, shoot. Let America tell it. All the different wars have been so they can go free somebody else from oppression, right? The Korean War was, I guess, to free South Korea from the oppression of North Korea, right? Isn't that what they say that was for? Well, were there not brothers fighting in the Korean War? I know there were because my uncle was in it. Not my uncle, my direct uncle. I guess you could say my grand uncle. I don't know what you would call it. My grandmother's brother. He fought in Korea. You know what I'm saying? Didn't we fight in Vietnam? And Forrest Gump didn't Bubba get his damn chest blown out? You understand? Fighting to go free some Vietnamese, according to America. You understand? We give our love to them. Why can't we give our love to ourselves, to each other? That's the reason. The reason we can't give our love to ourselves and to each other is because we're so busy loving everybody else. But they don't do that to us. I'm telling you, man. Just one day when you get a chance, man, if you're not from a place that is very diverse, even though this nowadays the way America is working, you can find places like that all over. Now I just moved to a different part of North Carolina, right? Not too far from where I was, still in Raleigh area. I moved to a park called Cary, right, which is right next to another park called Mooresville, and it's nothing but Elamites. This is East Indians. It's nothing but Elamites. You understand? And they stick with each other. And it's the same in all your areas, wherever you go. You say you go to New York, you go to Jackson Heights, it's all Elamites. In their little section of Jackson, it's just all of them. They ain't trying to get down with nobody else. You know what I mean? And this is true all throughout America. But us, no. As soon as we get our little money, like my brother said, the first thing we want to do is we want to bounce. We want to leave Salakia. Hey, Shalom, why don't you get that? Yeah, I started the class. Count, no sweat. All right, Shalom, guys. You understand? So the Bible tells us that the Most High didn't deal with it. Let's read it again. He hath not dealt so with any nation. Verse 20, he hath not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. So that scripture that tells us that we're supposed to we cannot hate our brother, that's talking to black people, because black people hate who? Other black people. Hispanics hate who? Other Hispanics. Native Indians hate who? Other Native Indians. And Hispanics hate Native Indians, and Native Indians hate black people, and black people hate Hispanics. We hate each other. Black people do not hate Chinese people. Like, let's just like open your mind and stop letting these people dictate things to you based on faulty media reports and things like that. Black people do not hate any of these other people. You can look at the numbers and the statistics. We don't hold no grudges or have no beefs with none of these people when we really should, to be quite honest with you. We don't even have a beef with the oppressor. We don't even have beef with the oppressor. No, we got beef with who? GDs, BDs, Crips, Bloods, Vice Lords, Latin Kings, MS-13, Norteños and Sureños. That's what we got beef with. Oh, it doesn't end there. We have beef with our own fathers, mothers. Our women have beef with who? Their baby fathers. Our brothers got beef with their baby mothers. We got beef with our own children. We find the time to hate each other, but we never, ever, ever, ever bestow any of that appropriate hatred on our oppressor. How does he get away with destroying the fabric of our nation in every way possible? But when we see him, we don't think, oh, I have to hit him with the grill. I have to mean mug him. You know what I'm saying? Our women don't say, oh man, these white men ain't this. And if they do, it's just politicized. But they never talk about it in any concrete way, man. But in the ISUP Canada Commander General Yohana, we're gonna love our people and nobody else. Period. You understand what I'm saying? Salakia. Just a second. I'm gonna get one more scripture. Yes, I think also Yarmak will be here shortly. And let me tell you something. When it comes to that hatred we have for each other, even though the Most High told us otherwise, I have to blame the Christian pastor. Because the Christian pastor never told us what the Most High told. He never actually went in the scriptures and told us what was really in his Bible. And so we didn't know. We didn't know who we were. We didn't know that according to this Bible, we were the greatest people on the face of the earth. We didn't know. We didn't know that according to this Bible, it is a sin to hate your brother. We didn't know, as sisters, we didn't know that it was a sin to gossip. You know what I'm saying? Backbiting and slacky, lying and being a talebearer. We didn't know these things. Right? Because of that Christian pastor. So let me read something real quick about him. A second, bear with me. This is the book of Ecclesiasticus in the Apocrypha. Chapter 12 and verse 16. An enemy speaketh sweetly with his lips, but in his heart he imagineth how to throw thee into a pit. He will weep with his eyes, but if he find opportunity, he will not be satisfied with blood. Your Christian pastor has so many nice things to say, so much nice things to say, and he talks so sweetly, doesn't he? He talks so sweetly with his lips, but he's killing black people. Martin Luther King said the nicest things you've ever heard, but he's solely responsible for thousands of black people being dead. Period. You understand? The Christian pastor is an enemy to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians. He's always been. He's the one who's thrown us into a ditch. You understand? There's another scripture where Christ compared the pastors and said they're like unto whited sepulchres, that outside look nice, but inside is full of dead men's bones. You understand? Salaki, bear with me just a second. And with that, I pass the class over to Priest and Officer Yarmak. Take a couple seconds. Get all this set up. We got it. See it? No, I'm just looking for this red thing, but it's right here. Shalom. I need to give me a little bit more on that. Shalom, shalom. At the water. We got a cup. Okay, if I could. Decided to switch it up. All right. Anybody got any questions before we begin? Salak, could you do me a favor? Yeah, could. Get these lives a little, just 1 minute. Get these lives, get these brothers and sisters in these lives. Go ahead and start sharing this class on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Yeah, at the water. Hmm? Good to go? Okay. Oh, are we not live? No, we're good. We live? Yeah, we good to go. Sure. All right. All right, so where was we at?
I was reading, so like the last thing I was reading was Ecclesiasticus, and then I made a mention of the scripture where Christ compared the passage to the sepulchre.
Come.
Let me go to it. It's Matthew 23 and 27. Read it.
Come, you can read it. It's like this is the book of Matthew, chapter 23 and verse 27. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye are like unto whited sepulchres.
Ye are like unto whited sepulchres. Why? First of all, why is Christ telling this to these Sadducees and Pharisees? Double one.
They were the religious leaders of the day, like, you know, would be like your Christian pastors today. And so he's saying this to them because this is, you know, he's about to describe, you know, what they're like, give a metaphor for what they're like.
Right. So he's saying, woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, you hypocrites. So he's saying this to them because they're hypocrites. Right. But how were the scribes and Pharisees hypocrites back then?
Another scripture paraphrasing what Christ said, you know, you neglect the laws of God for your own traditions. So they would make it a big deal if you didn't wash your hands before you ate. But meanwhile, they were, you know, doing unlawful things.
Like what?
Teaching Salakia. I'm trying to think of one that I know they did.
Right.
Like teaching that a man could divorce his wife.
They question Christ on that.
Okay.
What else did Christ have to battle them over? What did they do to the temple? And remember when Christ had to get three twines or three strings of a rope or whatever, and he twined them together. And he went into the temple and he whooped them out of there.
Right.
Why was he whooping them out of there?
Is it because were they sacrificing like swine's flesh in the temple?
Let's go to it.
Okay.
Let's just read it. So John chapter 2, verse 15. But let's start at verse verse 12.
Come. This is the book of John, chapter 2 and verse 12. After this, he went down to Capernaum. He and his mother and his brethren and his disciples, and they continued there not many days. And the Jews' Passover was at hand.
So the Jews' Passover was at hand. So Christ and his mother and his brethren and his disciples, right? They had all went down to Capernaum, right? But they didn't stay there for long, and the Passover was coming. So it was almost time for the Passover to be held, for us to remember what the Lord did for the children of Israel back in the time of Exodus, back in the time during when Moses was in leadership of the children of Israel. Right. So this is where we at. Keep going.
And Yahushua went up to Jerusalem. Verse 14. And found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves and changers of money sitting.
And changers of money sitting. So what were they doing?
Like commerce. Like
they were selling,
buying and selling.
Right. They was inside the temple, but they were buying and selling. Right. So imagine it's class time. And this is our temple. This is where we teach Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians who they are according to the Bible.
Right.
This is where we teach brothers how to stop selling drugs, how to stop using drugs, how to not be a homosexual. This is that place. And let's say one day you walk in here and all you see is tables and there's people from the world in here and they just up in here buying clothes and buying incense and selling, and you ready for class. You understand? Like, imagine the day, remember you came in here and you was about to teach and you came, you seen all them boxes and you just like, what the hell is going on? Right? So imagine that. It's almost time for the Passover. This is the temple is a holy place. It's supposed to be separate. It's not a store. Right? And so you walk into the temple and Christ sees people buying and selling, people making money. Right? So that's what he sees. So where we at? Verse 15.
Come. Salakia. And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple.
So Christ, the Christian church does a terrible job of teaching us in general who Christ was and what Christ was like. For a Christian, Christians believe that Christ is just, some floating being God who is just so nice and he just hugs and kisses and love everybody and love this and love that. And that's not the case. Christ went into the temple and let me add this point. This is off top, but let me add this point. Christians teach prosperity. The whole point of going to the Christian church is to get money. That's the whole point. That's literally it. You understand? Which is contrary to what they say, that money is the root of all evil. They go there so that they can pray for $5,000 to hit their bank account tomorrow. That's what they want. They want their life to be better, and the way you get the better life is that you have money. Right? Go ahead.
And if I may, sir, that's a heavy point you bring, because nowadays most of the churches have an ATM or several ATMs in the church.
Exactly. Right? So there's always a way for you to get the money out inside the Christian church. Now, Christians teach that Christ was an all-loving, merciful, just punk. That's what they teach Christ to be, as a punk. What we know in Isupk and the truth from actually reading this Bible, we see many examples of where Christ was not a bitch. Christ really was a man. You understand? A hardcore brother who did not stand for this. So now he goes into the temple. He doesn't see people raping and murdering and eating pork everywhere. He sees people selling merchandise. This stuff is furs getting sold. Now, let me get that $25. Let me get that 2 shekels, 5 shekels. And Christ sees this and he goes and he gets what? He had made a scourge of small cords. So think of those the whips that your mama used to make you go get out the backyard. Think, instead of one of them, think of plucking like 5 or 6 of them and taking them and wrapping them all together until you're making a scourge out of it, right? So he's going to use this as a weapon. And what did he do? Keep going.
And when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them all out of the temple.
He whipped them out of the temple. He didn't go in there and pray with them nicely. Christ went in there and whipped them out, literally. This is not figuratively. This is not a figurative scourge that he made that really is his mind and his words and blessings. This is an actual historic event. This is a record from John's account that he witnessed Christ make this scourge and go in there and whip them out of the temple. He's seen it. And now he's telling us so we can learn what not to do.
That's right.
You understand? So let's see, why did Christ whip them out of the temple? And we'll see if your Christian pastor is supposed to still be in there. Keep going. Same verse 15.
And the sheep and the oxen and poured out the changes as money.
So he whipped out the sheep and the oxen. He said, get this the hell up out of here. Get this the hell up out of here. Get the money up out of here. You understand? He's getting everything up out of there. Why? Because it was defiling the temple. It wasn't meant to be a store. You understand? It wasn't meant to be a place where you exchange money. Keep going.
And the oxen and poured out the changes as money and overthrew the tables.
And Christ flipped out the tables, right? So he took the money out, threw it on the ground. He took the tables and he flipped the tables over. You understand? Because this was not a place for that to be happening because they were defiling the temple. Now, when you think, hey, shalom, sis. When you think of the Christian church, what do you think of? Money. You think of money just being spread everywhere, things being sold. You understand? Because that's all that Christianity is. But when Christ seen these Sadducees and Pharisees doing that, he didn't stand for it. You understand? Christ today would go into TD Jake's church and he'd cause havoc in there today. You understand? He would go into Creflo Dollar's church and he would cause havoc there today. That's right. Because of the way that our religious leaders are whoring us out and defiling our temples. You understand? Keep going.
And overthrew the tables. Verse 16. And said unto them that sold doves, take these things hence, and make not my father's house an house of merchandise.
So he said to those brothers, them Sadducees and Pharisees who were selling and buying and all of that, he said, take this stuff away from here and don't make my father's house this wicked place that you want it to be. You understand? Because Christ understood how precious this thing is that we do. He understood how precious it is to have something that was holy, to have a place that was separated from the rest of the world. The Sadducees and Pharisees, of course, didn't understand that. The Sadducees and Pharisees, of course, they wanted what? They wanted money. They wanted greed. You understand? They wanted power. They wanted prosperity, the same way your Christian church does. They want the same thing T.D. Jakes wanted. It's the same thing these Sadducees and Pharisees wanted. They wanted the exact same thing, and Christ wasn't having it. Keep going.
Verse 17. And his disciples remembered that it was written, the zeal of thine house hath eaten me up. Verse 18. Then answered the Jews and said unto him, what sign showest thou unto us, seeing that thou doest these things? Verse 19. Yahushua answered and said unto them, destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up.
So he told the Jews, they was watching this happen. He told them to destroy it. Just go ahead and just tear it down. And in 3 days he will raise it up. Keep going.
Verse 20. Then said the Jews, 46 years was this temple in building, and wilt thou rear it up in 3 days? Verse 21. But he spake of the temple of his body. Verse 22. When therefore he was risen from the dead, his disciples remembered that he had said this unto them, and they believed the scripture and the word which Yahushua had said. Verse 23. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover, in the feast day.
When he was where?
At the Passover.
He was, hold on. I just wanted to get to this part.
Well,
I think we already finished the whole with the Sadducees and Pharisees.
Right.
But I just wanted to get to this part for those of us who don't, who Jesus didn't celebrate the Passover.
Right.
Jesus didn't hold the Passover. Read that part again.
Come on. Verse 23. Now when he was in Jerusalem at the Passover.
So he was there. Okay. He don't celebrate it though. He was there. No, what he was doing now.
Right.
No sweat. Keep going.
In the feast day, many believed in his name when they saw the miracles which he did. Verse 24.
You go ahead and finish it up.
But Yahushua did not commit himself unto them because he knew all men. Verse 25. And needed not that any should testify of man, for he knew that was in man.
So the Sadducees and Pharisees, again, you understand, are replicas, or your Christian pastors are replicas of the Sadducees and Pharisees. They're the exact same people. You understand? They are hypocrites. Why? Because the Sadducee and Pharisee would go and like the brother said, they will condemn you because you didn't wash your hands before you didn't eat, or they will condemn you because you understand, like you broke some law or whatever, but then they would turn around and rape. Right. They would turn around and murder. They would turn around and make the temple of the Lord a goddamn whorehouse. Right. You understand? And they would do what? They would go find a lamb without blemish, and they would sacrifice that lamb to be forgiven of their sins, which sounds like who? Sounds like your Christian pastor. That's right. You understand? It sounds like the product of Christianity. To be a wicked bastard on the earth, and then go and pay money and, you know, be forgiven and dip your head into water so that you're forgiven for your sins. That's exactly what the Christian church is and why it's so disgusting. You understand? But we're going to drop that. We're going to get into the topic. If I could, get me Zephaniah chapter 2 and verse 1. And we're going to dive into this topic. Anybody in the room got any questions? Just raise your hand. Anybody online got any questions? Whether it's on topic or off topic. Any comments you want to make, you raise your hand as well. Make a comment. Go ahead, sis. Get on. We got the microphone. Young man, you good? Okay, you got it.
Shalom Yahasham Alathamba Hashem Yashai.
Shalom.
I just want to say, Most High in Christ, this is my first time here at the
Most
school.
High, give her a hand. You understand? Damn right.
I'm originally from headquarters.
Oh, Most High in Christ.
Headquarters, so.
In Harlem?
Yeah.
Most High in Christ.
So it's a blessing.
Okay, we're glad to have
Most
you.
High.
We're going to rock it out. Let's get it on.
So, Zephaniah 2 and 1.
God.
Come on. I got it. This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 1. Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired.
Keep going.
Verse 2. Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you.
Before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you. I tell you what, Christians are running scared, man, more than ever. If you look online, you got any kind of social media, any kind of network or anything like that, listening to the radio, all you hear all day is how the book of Revelation, the prophecies are coming amidst. They're coming. It's happening. Palestine and this, that, and the third, and all this nonsense, whatever that they be talking about in the Christian churches, they are running scared. You understand? They pulling scriptures, trying to pull scriptures, trying to do whatever they want to do. But the problem is that they're not doing what the Lord is telling them to do, which is why they'll never have the answer, which is why they'll always be scared.
That's right.
You understand? The bottom line or the reason for their fear and what's happening in the world is because of their disobedience to the Lord.
That's right.
You understand? Like they know that their father who is causing all of these things they've been disobeying him since birth. You understand? Since the day that they decided that they was going to pick up that pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster and smoke that weed and whatever and celebrate Christmas. They know that they've been disobeying the Lord. And so when they see these prophecies start to unfold and start to happen, they get scared. Why? Because they know judgment is real too. You understand? They know judgment is coming and it's coming for them. So the Lord is telling us right now to gather together, meaning who? Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians. We should come back together. You understand? We should come back together under one accord, under one. You understand? We can't come together and all be separated. And you think one thing and I think this thing. Why? Because when we have to make a decision on something, who we gonna listen to? Who we gonna listen to? Dabawan or Young Man? The sister or the brother in the back? Like who we gonna listen to? You're gonna have some people believe, we should pick up guns and go to war with our oppressor and just fight that way. You're gonna have some other brothers who believe, we should just vote and fight that way. You have another group of people who believe we should just pray all day and fight that way. You understand? And it'll never work. We will stay separated, which is why under Commander General Yohana, the most important thing that we have is order in this school. Because order is what keeps those who are different unseparated from each other. You understand? Keep going.
Come. Before the day passes the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you.
Meaning, do it now.
Come.
Get in that class now.
That's right.
You understand? Start tuning in right now. Pay your tithes right now. Don't wait. Don't wait till you're in a car accident and you breathing for your fighting for your last breath. Don't wait until you in the back of a police car and you about to be shipped off because you got caught selling drugs. Don't wait to do it then. Don't wait to say, man, where those brothers at now? You should do it now. You understand? Before that judgment comes up on you. You understand? Thus saith the Lord. Keep going.
Come. Verse 3. Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth.
Seek ye who?
Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth.
Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, man. When you go on to find your salvation, when you go on to find your refuge, you should search for the Most High. You understand? You go into the Christian church and you see that the Most High is not with them.
That's right.
You understand? How can I blatantly say that right here for all the Christians who that would upset? How could I just blatantly say that the Lord is not with them? Well, what are you going to tell me? You're going to tell me that the Lord sucks at his job? You're going to tell me that? How else would you explain it? How would you convince me that the Lord is in the Christian church when we are worse? We are suffering from drug addiction at an all-time high.
Right.
We suffer from abortion at an all-time high. Black on black crime is at an all-time high. You understand? Everything bad in the black community is at an all-time high. But you know what else is also at an all-time high? The attendance rate for Christian churches. That's also at an all-time high. We are all in the Christian churches every day of the week, every Sunday. You understand? And yet our condition has continuously gotten worse and worse and worse. So what are you saying that if the Lord is in that Christian church, then why is it that you brothers aren't getting up off of drugs? Why isn't it that the numbers of abortions aren't going down? Why isn't it that the school to prison pipeline is not submissing itself? Why is it not being worked? Why is it not fixing itself? You understand? It's because the Lord is not in the Christian church, man. You understand? You want to see who the Lord is with? You go into the prison, you go into these prisons, and you ask them if there's any brothers in the ISUPK in there. There's none. But you ask if there's Christians, they're everywhere. You ask if they're Muslims, they're everywhere in there. You understand? But none of us go to prison because we don't live that way. You understand? None of us go to jail for selling drugs because we don't live that way. None of us catch AIDS and HIV for being homosexuals because we don't live that way. None of our women in here are single mothers because we don't live that way. You understand? That is the way that people want to live out in the world, man. But in here, the Lord is with us, which is why you don't see it, right? And it's very evident. You know, all you have to do is take emotions out of your life, and you'll understand. It'll become very clear to you. Taking emotions out of it, all of your feelings and your love for your Christian pastor that's been there for 36 years, Pastor John Bennett, take your love from him out of this conversation, and you'll see that every brother in there is either homosexual, a murderer, a drug dealer, or a gangbanger. It's 89% of them in there are doing something like that. You understand? Because the Lord is not with them. But keep going.
Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth,
Mm-hmm.
which have wrought his judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Seek righteousness,
Mm-hmm.
seek meekness. It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger.
Now, how are you hid from the Lord's anger? I broke this down a couple times. How does the Lord hide you from his anger? Give me Psalms chapter 91.
Come on. This is the book of Psalms, chapter 9 and verse 1.
91.
Slack it.
91 and 1. Slack it.
Okay. The book of Psalms, chapter 91 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High.
Now, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High. What does it mean to dwell somewhere? Tabuan.
To live somewhere.
You live, or you occupy this area, right? You dwell somewhere. This is where you stay, right? So when you dwell in the secret place of the Most High, keep going.
It's like he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High
Mm-hmm.
shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty.
He shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. What does it mean to abide? When you abide something, what does that mean? That one?
You follow something.
Right. It's like you abide by these rules that I
Right.
give you. right? Your mama, you ever heard your mother say, as long as you live under my roof, you're going to abide by my rules, right? It means to accept or act in accordance with, right? So if you abide under the rules of the ISUPK, then you act a certain way, right? You don't just salute every sister at the Passover. You do it in a joyful manner, right? You don't just hold Shamar. You hold it in a way that we taught you to do it, right? You don't just do certain things. Just, I just got to do it. I just got to pay my tithes. I just got to say, I got to give the salute. You do it in a way that we all do it because we all abide under this, meaning we accept this rule that has been passed down to us. So we do it a certain way, right? So go back to Psalms 91, and the Most High, Salaki, he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. So what is the shadow of the Almighty? What is a shadow? Just
literally?
Yeah, literally, what is a shadow?
Basically, a shadow is a cast or outline of any object where light is not being projected to that area.
Right. And let's say you back in 3rd grade and you running around playing tag outside and it's hot as all hell. Mm-hmm. You go to them buildings and you use the shadow for what?
Shade.
For shade. This shadow is a protection from that rays, from that sun beaming on your back. You understand? So you find a shadow beside a tree or beside a building or beside a car. You understand? You find a shadow somewhere. And so he that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. Now, that shadow is what? It's all protection. This is how you're hid from the judgment of the Lord. Why? Is it because you wear a cross on your neck and you walk around and bullets come flying and a shadow of wings come and feather you and block the bullets? No. Does it mean that, I claim to be a Hebrew Israelite and I don't eat pork. And so, if police officers pull me over, I'm just not going to do anything they tell me to do because I'm a Hebrew Israelite and I'm above them and they're beneath me. They'll shoot you. They're going to shoot you in the face. You understand? Don't do that, Con. No sweat. Con. You understand? They're definitely going to take you to jail. I've actually seen that. I've seen that online. A brother who was with his woman driving a car, this some fake Hebrew Israelite, thought that he had the right to leave his window rolled up after he got pulled over and just ignore what the police officers was telling him to do and just keep the window rolled up. Of course, more and more police officers came, and of course they ended up breaking his window and dragging him outside of the car. You understand? Because that's, of course, what's going to happen. Don't do that. Being a Hebrew Israelite does not make you above the law. You understand? If a police officer tell you to do something, just do it. You shouldn't have anything that you're hiding from police officers anyway, so you shouldn't have anything to worry about. But that goes back to my point, right? So a shadow is not none of those things. It's not some surreal protection that rains down on you when danger is near. That's not what it is, right? Who can tell me what the shadow of the Almighty is that we abide in? How do you, being in the ISUPK, abide in the shadow of the Lord? Remember those 3 words, right? So dwelleth means to live or to occupy, an area or place or space or whatever, right? To abide means to follow or to accept. And the shadow in this, for the sake of this breakdown, the shadow is protection. So how do we abide under the protection of the Most High? Remember, being in ISUPK and wearing a shield around your neck, that will not stop you from getting shot by police officers. It won't do it. That's what Christians believe. Christians believe that what they do outwardly is what makes them a child of God. They believe that, I wear a chain around my neck, I kiss the cross, I pray when I eat, and I go to the bake sales and I'm a child of God. That's, of course, nonsense. That's not what we teach in here, What you do outwardly has nothing to do with if you're a child of God or not. But everything you do when no one's watching, what you do inwardly, the way that you hate that brother, that you talk about him underneath your breath, lets the Lord know who you're with. You understand? So how do you abide under the shadow of the Almighty? Tabuan.
I'm not sure if anyone has said this, but I'm assuming it's more than just keeping the laws, right? Would it be the ICBK and the Commander General?
That the ISUBK and the Commander General Yohana would be that secret place. That is the secret place. And we live here. We've decided to come into these classrooms. We decided to put on all black. We decided to be troopers and officers and captains and to be sisters, daughters of Sarah under Commander General Yohana. So we've made that decision. So we're in here. But of course, that's not enough. Of course, that doesn't protect you from bullets. You understand? It doesn't protect you from going to jail for selling drugs. You can still go to jail for selling drugs, even though you're a brother in the school. You can still go to prison for life, even though you're a sister in the school. It can still absolutely happen. You won't be protected. You can't go out here and just shoot somebody and believe, well, I'm going to beat the case because Commander General Yohana beats every case, and I'm in the ISUPK, and we're children of God, and we're the killers on the street, and we beat everybody and everything. So if I murder this dude right here, I'm definitely not going to prison because we're going to fight it, and I'm going to live. I'm protected. It's not what that means. You're going to jail. Right. You're not going to make it. I hate to tell it to you, but so now, how do you not go to prison for murder? How does the Lord protect you from being in the ISUPK? How does that protection come from the Lord? If a cop pulls you over, how are you protected from going to jail from selling drugs? Whereas a Christian is not protected. He's going to jail for selling drugs. I get pulled over, I'm protected. You understand? I'm not going to jail for selling drugs that day. The cop's not going to take me. What makes us different? What is the protection, sis? Because I'm following what Commander General Yohana taught us to do. That's right. You understand? That is how you are protected. That's how you're hid from that judgment. Because Commander General Yohana already told you your simple ass not to be selling drugs. Right. He already told your simple ass not to be carrying weapons illegally. He already told you to put on your seatbelt and not to speed and not to run red lights. He already told you to make sure you have car insurance and to make sure that your driver's license is up to date. He already said it. The Lord already told you to follow the laws of the land. And so if you choose to abide in that, then you wouldn't get a ticket for not having a seatbelt on. It would never happen. But the Christian, he'll get a ticket that day. You'll get it. You won't go to jail for selling drugs that week. But a Christian, the Muslim, they're going to all be locked up together. But we won't be in there. You will never find us in there because we are choosing to abide in that secret place under the shadow of the Most High. We chose to be in here and to live by these rules. And because of that, we are given protection. We're given what Christians believe they have. That blocks bullets. We block bullets because we're in here. We're not out there. You understand? Drop that. Or go back to Zephaniah 2:1. Oh, you had a question, sis? Okay, no sweat. No sweat. Okay.
This is the book of Zephaniah, chapter 2 and verse 1.
Mm-hmm.
Gather yourselves together. Yea, gather together, O nation not desired. Verse 2,
mm-hmm.
Before the decree bring forth, before the day pass as the chaff, before the fierce anger of the Lord come upon you, before the day of the Lord's anger come upon you. Verse 3, Seek ye the Lord,
mm-hmm.
all ye meek of the earth, which have wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness.
Mm-hmm.
It may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger.
Right.
Keep going.
Nah, you can drop that, right?
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to go into our topic. My topic is, of course, who are blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, are we the children of Salakia? Hold on, I'm reading this comment 1 second. Hey, Shalom. Salak, what was that? Khan. Yeah, Shalom. Y'all Shema Taba Shema Shah. And Shalom, brother. Ray Green, I see you up in here. Most High in Christ. I see your question, brother. I'm going to get you a question in a second. Just give me 1 second. Salaki, I wasn't looking at the live. I'll get back focused on that. But Salaki, but are blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians the children of Israel? You understand? I came up with this topic because I seen we had somebody asked me a question, or they brought to my attention something earlier, that there's been a great debate, I guess, online that black people are not the Hebrew Israelites, and that this is just something that, you understand, that we just made up and came up with it and decided to adapt to it. But of course, we're going to prove that that is not true today. So if I could go to the book of Deuteronomy, I'm going to start there. I'm going to sweat.
Which chapter, sir?
Let's go to 27.
Okay. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 27. So the verse 1?
Okay.
And verse 1. And Moses with the elders of Israel commanded the people, saying, keep all the commandments which I command you this day. Verse 2. And it shall be on the day when ye shall pass over Jordan unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, that thou shalt set thee up great stones and plaster them with plaster. Verse 3. And thou shalt write upon them all the words of this law when thou art passed over, that thou mayest go in unto the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee, a land that floweth with milk and honey, as the Lord God of thy fathers hath promised thee.
So now this is Moses, right? This is what Moses is commanding the people that he just led out of Egypt, right? So this is what he commanded them, saying, to keep all the commandments which I keep you this day. So let me see where I want you to go to. You can go to verse 12, or verse 11.
Yeah. Verse 11. And Moses charged the people the same day, saying, these shall stand upon the Gerizim to bless the people when ye are come over Jordan, Simeon and Levi and Judah and Issachar and Joseph and Benjamin. Verse 13. And these shall stand upon Mount Ebal to curse Reuben, Gad, and Asher, and Zebulun, Dan, and Naphtali.
Keep going.
Verse 14. And the Levites shall speak and say unto all the men of Israel with a loud voice. Verse 15. Cursed be the man that maketh any graven or molten image, an abomination unto the Lord, the work of the hands of the craftsman, and putteth it in a secret place.
Okay, so what is that talking about? Cursed be the man that maketh any graven image or molten image, an abomination unto the Lord, and putteth it in a secret place.
So would that be referring to, like secretly worshiping other gods? You know what I mean? You done made you made a cross, you made a golden calf, you made, some relic, of some false god, and it's in the secret place because you can't do that on the open because you're gonna get killed.
Yeah, it's the shrine.
Yeah.
It's the shrine that you got in your house. It's that plate that someone makes for someone who passed away, or the plate that someone makes for some deity or some god that just sits there. I remember seeing that as a kid, and that was just the most weirdest. It was just the dumbest thing ever, because I would be sitting there hungry as all hell, but here we had a whole plate, and they would stuff the plate, just fill it up, and they would say that's for fucking Nefertiti or whoever, I don't know.
What? Yeah,
they would make a plate and say it's for Ma'at or Harakahudi or Tahuti or Sebek. You understand? Or somebody. And
They would make a plate of cooked food.
cooked food and sit it there at the table. Imagine this was the table. And we all sitting here, I got my plate, you got yours, whatever. Then there's just a plate. And it just sits there. And it just sits there. Now I always imagine, like, are you gonna throw it away and just waste it? Because the nigga, whoever is there, whoever's for, they're not gonna eat it. Right. I promise you that. It's never gonna happen. Like this is faker than when somebody eats a cookie for, you understand, like when they say that Santa Claus came and somebody takes a bite out of the cookie. This is faker than that. Right. Because nobody even takes a bite out of the plate. Good night. Understand? But that's like those molten images in those secret places. It's something that if you won't do this in church. That's right. You wouldn't do this out in the street. You understand? You're doing this in your home, and it's dumb. It's stupid. It makes no damn sense why you do this. You're going like I thought about this as a kid because I'm like, I wonder, because looking at that plate, you'd be down there scared to touch the shit. Salaki. It's like, yeah, I'm not touching that. Whatever that is, you understand? Whoever that's for. And so imagine them saying, yeah, throw that plate away. Me? Throw that? Ain't that for Sebek? You want me to take his plate and throw it in the trash? He ain't here? Like, what'd you make the plate for if he's not gonna eat it? It's all stupid. But of course, who does these types of things? Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Right. We are the children who witnessed the miracles of Moses, who witnessed Moses lead us out of the captivity of Pharaoh in Egypt. And we said what? We said we wanted to go back. We wanted to go back to Egypt, right? So this is what Moses is telling us to do. Keep going.
Come. Mm-hmm. And all the people shall answer and say, Amen. Mm-hmm. Verse 16. Cursed be he that setteth the light by his father or his mother. Mm-hmm. And all the people shall say, Amen. Mm-hmm.
Drop to like all of these are just laws that we were not supposed to break. So to lie with your mother, right? To lead a blind man astray, right? To just whatever, you understand? To like go to verse 20, just start at verse 22 and just read it down.
Come. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 27 and verse 22. Mm-hmm. Cursed be he that lieth with his sister, the daughter of his father, or the daughter of his mother, and all the people shall say Amen. Verse 23, cursed be he that lieth with his mother-in-law.
So you can't sleep with your father's rib who is not your mother. Right? Keep going.
Come. And all the people shall say Amen. Verse 24, cursed be he that smiteth his neighbor secretly, and all the people shall say Amen. Verse 25, cursed be he that taketh reward to slay an innocent person.
So bounty hunting, right? You couldn't be a bounty hunter and go and murder somebody who was innocent, right? That was against the law of Moses, right? Keep going.
Okay, and all the people shall say Amen. Cursed be he that confirmeth not all the words of this law to do them, and all the people shall say Amen.
So you listening to the law that's being read by the Levitical priest, and you say, I don't know about that mother-in-law one. I might have. Well, then that would be a sin too, right? Let's go to the next chapter, verse 28.
Okay, the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, verse 1. And it shall come to pass, if thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
All right, so here we go. The Lord is telling this group of people, whoever this is, he's telling the children of Israel to follow these laws, statutes, commandments. And as they follow them, then they will be set above high, right? Above all the nations on the planet Earth. And we're going to get into a couple of them, and then we're going to drop down to, I think, verse... I'll just go ahead and start reading.
Verse 2. And all these blessings shall come on thee and overtake thee, if thou shalt hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
Mhm.
Verse 3, blessed shalt thou be in the city,
Mhm.
and blessed shalt thou be in the field. Verse 4, blessed shall be the fruit of thy body, and the fruit of thy ground, and the fruit of thy cattle,
Mhm.
the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep.
Mhm.
Blessed shall be thy basket and thy store. Verse 6, blessed shalt thou be when thou comest in, and blessed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
So for this nation of people, if they were to do what the Lord told them to do, then they would have all of these blessings come upon them, right? Drop to verse 15.
Come, verse 15.
Mhm.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God.
So if we don't listen to what the Lord told us to do, if we decide to live our lives the Christian way, and we decide to eat shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster, even though it's against the law, we decide to celebrate Christmas, Halloween, and Thanksgiving, even though it's against the law, then these are the curses that shall come upon us. Keep going.
Come, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee. Verse 16, cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field.
So now, how are we cursed in the city and cursed in the field? How would this people be cursed in the city and cursed in the field? Remember, we don't know who this is. We don't know who this is talking about. This could be talking about anybody. And so the only way to figure out who this is talking about, we got to break this down. Who is this today? Number one.
Shalaki, sir, is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
How?
Because every other nation on earth is not cursed in the city and in the field, meaning this. You can go to the most poorest section of China, and some Chinese person in that or in those fields is prospering. Someone's making money. And definitely in the major cities of China, the Chinese are prospering. And you can do that with every other nation. The only nation of people who is cursed, whether they be in the back country of some, Alabama, or if they in Harlem, or if they in Los Angeles, or if they in Washington, D.C., is blacks, Hispanics, and Native Indians.
Right. Or even shorter than that is that because no matter wherever you live in America, if you're black, Hispanic, or Native American Indian, you are a slave.
Right.
Nothing ever changed. Like I'll use this example a lot with Harriet Tubman, and a lot of people commend Harriet Tubman for what she did. And I commend her as well for her attempt and what she thought that what she was doing. She thought that she was freeing slaves. That's what her attempt was. She wanted this. Harriet Tubman grew up seeing her family being hung from trees. She grew up seeing her family being murdered and mutilated and raped. She's seen that. And so naturally she wanted to do what? She wanted to get her people the hell up out of there and go to this place where they wasn't really getting hung on trees. They wasn't really having the same things that was being done. The atrocity that's been happening to them in the South happened to them upstate New York or in Boston, Massachusetts. It wasn't happening up there. So of course she decided to find a way to get her people from down south slave in the country area and take in the fields and take them to up north. The problem is what? Harriet Tubman only moved slaves from the south and gave more slaves to the north. That's all she did. She didn't do anything different. They're not hanging niggas from trees in New York because New York don't have trees to hang niggas from. That's it. But if there was trees in New York, there would be niggas hanging from them. That's it. They killed them in other ways. They murdered them in the street. They beat them to death. They would go into their apartment buildings and kill them. They would blow up their apartment buildings. They would rape their women. They would fire them and just do all kinds of crazy things. There's so many records that you go back and read that was happening in New York. There's records you could read back in the 1920s and 1930s during the Prohibition era. When police officer back when I'm hold your point, right? Back to when during the Prohibition era, you had now because of this outlawing alcohol, you had so much of a need for more law enforcement that governments or the governors of different cities would do what? They would accept volunteers to come and be temporary patrolmen or temporary policemen to help conduct searches and seizures of any illegal substances, talking about alcohol. Of course, the problem with that was what? The majority of your volunteers were who? Who can take a guess? Who the majority of your volunteers were? And this is history. You can Google this. Who were the volunteers that decided to go be the police officers? You want to take a shot? Who was the majority of the volunteers?
Edomites?
It was definitely Edomites, but think for something a little bit more specific. Of course, Edomites were already the police officers, right? They were already your trained police officers who was going around doing warrants and seizures and whatever. But of course, with prohibition, there was more of a need for more police officers because they wanted to lock people up for having alcohol or illegal substances. So they called for volunteers. Who were your volunteers?
So
Like it says, you want to take a shot?
I was gonna say the people that was doing it.
Partially, but there's another answer I'm looking for.
would this be a certain group of Edomites?
Mm-hmm.
Would it be the Irish?
A different group.
Okay.
Who was another group of Edomites? And when I say group, I don't mean tribe. I mean a group. Right? Think about it. Think about the problem with this. Think about the problem that prohibition in the 1920s and 1930s gave to a specific people who had a badge. And now you got people who is having this authority. You got some people saying that and they're going to volunteer for that authority. And that's a problem for Black people because of this group of people who now have this. I'll give you a hint. During the 1920s, this was the rebirth of this group.
The Ku Klux Klan.
The Ku Klux Klan. Before the 1920s, the Ku Klux Klan was dying out. They weren't dying out, but they were succeeding to be active. You weren't seeing as many marches and as many movements and as many rallies from the Ku Klux Klan because the law was forging itself against that, right? They had to subside being outwardly racist because America was, quote unquote, trying to move in a different direction. During the 1920s and the 30s, with prohibition allowing for regular civilians to become police officers for a time period, you had a flood of Ku Klux Klan members going and taking up those jobs, which meant what? Black people got killed. That's what it meant. It meant that they had that mean that this Ku Klux Klan member who had this Ku Klux Klan flag underneath his uniform, he had now the right to run into your apartment building, run into your house, and do whatever he wanted to do. Why? Because we're looking for alcohol. And hey, we didn't find any, but it's just a job that we have to do. And of course, he's Black, so who gives a damn anyway? Right? So that's what Harriet Tubman did. You understand? Thabawan, what you had? You was talking about New York, 1920s.
Oh no, I was just gonna mention that 12 Years a Slave, Solomon Northup was from New York.
Mm-hmm.
He was from I think he was upstate, but he was definitely from New York, and he got kidnapped. You know what I'm saying? Took back into slavery from New York.
Good night. Go ahead, sis.
You're referring to 12 Years a Slave?
Sure.
Right. So
That was I got so excited because I live in Albany. I think it was Watertown.
Use the mic since you could. I'll shut.
I apologize. Shalaki, guys.
No sweat.
Yeah, that was 12 Years a Slave. I think it was right there in Watertown, New York.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right, because I was amazed. Well, not really amazed, but it was like, oh, that's like right next door, which means it still goes on in a way. But yeah, that was 12 Years a Slave. That was really deep. The ending was crazy, right?
Yeah,
with the young lady, is that the one? She wanted him to help her get out because she was a slave too.
I believe so.
Yeah, but the bottom line basis is that no matter wherever they went,
Right,
they were still a slave.
that's right.
Right? it's not like that for Chinese, right? Even if you wanted to argue the fact that Chinese were Vietnamese and all of them were treated a certain way, building the railroads and things like that, then you have to look at them today. Are Chinese slaves in the city? How you know? They run Chinatown.
Right.
They literally have Chinese towns, not stores, not a storefront. It's towns where everything in there is in Chinese writing, Beijing, right? Wherever the Mandarin might write in, it's their stuff, their buildings, and they look at you weird if you walk in there. You understand?
So Lucky, but I don't want. But you just sorry to cut you off. So you just bring out such a heavy point, right? Because what you're saying, you bring the scripture to life because it's so real. And if anybody does any little bit of research, if you ask somebody that knows, it's the reality. Mm-hmm. I remember coming up, and as you know, like coming up in Queens, right? There's a part called Flushing, and in Flushing, there's an area, there's Main Street. You know what I'm saying? There's a project building over there, but I literally brought it up in class before you came in today. On Main Street, right? So this is like minutes away from Shea Stadium where the Mets play. On Main Street, almost every building is written in Korean. Every business is in Korean. There's at least 5 Korean banks on this street. You understand? I'm saying this is blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks. They got their own banks. They own, you know what I'm saying, little fake doctors. They own restaurants. They own malls. All of that. You know what I'm saying? And this is, you would literally, if I drop somebody there, they would not think this is America.
Right.
But it 100% is. So how could they, like you said, how could they be cursed if they own in whole neighborhoods?
They can't. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's stupid to even think of that they could ever be them. It's stupid to think that Africans could ever be the ones who was cursed. It's stupid. It's completely idiotic and just it's buffoonery. But of course, there's a bunch of idiots in our nation, so we have to have classes like this. You understand? But there's no sweat. We'll get it on. So it's not the Chinese man. He's not cursing the field, nor is he cursing the city, nor is he looked at as a second-class citizen. As a matter of fact, Chinese people are looked at are highly sought after. Their image is to be very intelligent, right? I think we've all heard that growing up in school, that Asian people are just very smart. On the other hand, black people are what? They are super predators, right? They're gangbangers and violent, right? Because we are cursing the field and in the city. But keep going. No sweat.
Verse 17. Mm-hmm. Curse shall be thy basket and thy store.
Curse shall be thy basket and thy store. Meaning your basket will be poor. Your store will be poor. Everything that you have around you will be poor because you're cursed, right? Keep going.
Come on, verse 18. Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land.
Cursed shall be the fruit of thy body and the fruit of thy land. Name a nation of people on this earth who get pregnant, and which that should be one of the most joyous things that ever happens to a family. But for us, it's a problem. It's a problem. I'm pregnant. And that moment of silence of, how am I going to tell my mom? Or how am I going to do this? Because it's what? Such a disappointment, where it shouldn't be. It should be the most beautiful thing ever. It should be, I'm pregnant. Woo, everybody in the city celebrate. The whole town should be celebrating tonight because so-and-so's rib got pregnant. But of course, for us, it's a problem. White people, they go to fraternity clinics to try to get pregnant. That's what they're doing. You understand? Chinese people, they're getting pregnant. They having their babies. Middle Easterns, they having their baby. They ain't worried about it. Africans over there having their baby. They ain't worried about it.
Right.
But black people in America, oh, it's a problem.
Right.
How do you know? It's because I'm saying that just because my family goes through that?
Well,
what is some hard evidence that you can give me that we know that having babies in America is a problem for us and solely for us?
Because consistently every year we lead in the most abortions.
Because we kill them. We kill the babies. So how you going to tell me that it's the Africans? The Africans ain't killing their babies. They're having them. How you going to tell me it's the Chinese? When the Chinese are not killing their babies, they're having them. But we, Black, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, we see that having a baby, the seed of our body, the fruit of our bodies are so it's such a terrible thing that we go and kill them by 460,000 a year because we're cursed, because this is talking about us, because it's not talking about the Chinese. It's not talking about the African. It's not talking about our oppressor or the Jewish man up there and wherever the hell he at. What city, what neighborhood you grew up in? In Forest Hills, right? Ain't that where they at? Yeah, Forest Hills. It's not them. They don't care. They happy to have a baby. They have a baby and start planning the bar mitzvah already.
Right.
But us, it's a problem. We say we don't got no money. Babies are expensive. Yeah, y'all understand that? How many years have mankind been on Earth? You understand? Think about how many years mankind has been on Earth. I can't even tell you. But it's a whole goddamn lot. We've been on Earth for so many years, but for some reason, we still utter the excuse that having a baby is just expensive.
Right.
So, what you got, sis? Yeah, no sweat. Most High in Christ.
That excuse, sir, the way too expensive, or that from as a female, I always hear female be like, I wasn't expecting this. And I'm like, huh? Wait.
I hate to hear that one.
Right? Okay, so it's not me. So I'm like, well, did you protect yourself?
Right.
Right? So,
I go off the record. This is not a UPK saying. This is just my personal saying. But I've always said, baby, there is no possible way in hell to expect a baby. You understand? Like how people say, we were trying for a baby or we wasn't trying for a baby. There's no way in hell to, like, you can be with your woman for 2 years straight, unprotected, trying, and she'll never get pregnant. And then you could be with a woman one night, one fucking time, and she get pregnant. There is no such thing as, yeah, this time tonight, we're going to conceive a child. It don't work that damn way. You understand? But of course, when we're Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, when we get pregnant, you understand, when we're about to have a child, it's a problem because it's too expensive. Even though we forget that we're a product of slavery. You understand? We forget that we were having babies in slavery and we're still good. We were having babies in Egypt and we're still good. We were having babies in the wilderness and we're still good. You understand? But of course, we're cursed in America. And so we believe that having a baby is a cursing instead of a blessing that it should be believed that it is, right? Keep going, Tabon.
Verse 8, Slack here. And the fruit of thy land, and the increase of thy kind, and the flocks of thy sheep. Verse 19. Cursed shalt thou be when thou comest in.
So cursed shalt thou be when you're born. Keep going. And
cursed shalt thou be when thou goest out.
And you're cursed when you die. You understand? When you die, what do they post? Your mugshot. When they kill you, when they murder you in the street, they post your mugshot. Yeah, it was just. And how many times have you heard it? Why y'all had to use that picture? Why y'all had to do that? Because he's a nigga. You understand? Tabon.
Question based on that. So would it also be fair to, like, could you use not a precept, but as an example of this, could you also talk about how, some of our young brothers falling victim to the gang violence, you might get killed, and now look at Tuka. Now this brother was killed when he was 15 years old, and that was like 6 years ago, and now his name is still being used today in negative connotations, you know what I'm saying, because he was involved in the gang stuff. Would that be an example as well?
I wouldn't use that as an example for this, because that would be more of how we deal with each other. Right? We look at each other as filth. And we look at our oppressors as precious. So we kill Tuka and we use his name as to smoke weed to mock him and his death. That is our hatred for each other. You understand? But for a man You understand? To look at Tuka and say, you know, all oppressor to look at him and say he was good for nothing anyway. That is our curse.
That's right.
You understand? Whereas boys who shoot up schools, you understand? They don't look at those children who shoot up schools and say, oh, he's just good for nothing. He's just a thug murderer. Right. They say what? They say, well, let's dive into his family history. Right. Let's go see how he was raised. What kind of parents did he have? Oh, see, we found it. He had parents who let him play Dungeons and Dragons. You know what? Let's go do a study on Dungeons and Dragons and let's come up with some conspiracy on how Dungeons and Dragons is making kids crazy. Because of course what? Of course, there's no way that little old Timmy, this precious white boy, could ever be a murderer. It had to be Dungeons and Dragons, Ak. It had to be Grand Theft Auto. It had to be his family who beat him or did something to him, because there's no way he just grew up normally and just murdered people. But when a black man murders somebody, it's just those thugs. You know, that's just the life that they live. That's just the life that they chose to live. That's just who they are, those monkeys, those savages. You understand? Those super predators. That's just who it is, right? And this is all stuff that it disgusts me even learning this in school now. It disgusts me the different types of studies that they have to try to convict the spirits of people who want to condemn school shooters. They do studies to try and prove the mental innocence of school shooters, instead of just saying to hell with him, throw him underneath the barracks because he just killed 8 students. You understand? Instead of saying he just killed 8 people, he should just die in a cell somewhere. People die for less. They have to go and study every goddamn thing and see if there's hope. He may have had some psychological problems. Is there a way of reversing it? Can we reverse it and make him, be rehabilitated and bring him? That's all nonsense. You understand? But of course, we are the ones that's cursed. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians are the ones that's cursed. We don't get rehabilitated. You understand? We don't even get the normal rehabilitation. We go to prison and we learn nothing, and we come out and we still are treated as if we haven't did our time served, as if we haven't paid for our crimes. You understand? That is how they look at us. You understand? Like we're nothing. So cursed are we when we come in. Cursed shall thou be when I go out. Keep going.
Verse 20. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke.
The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, man. You understand? This is what's happening to Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians. Sis, did you have something you want to say?
No,
You too, sis.
Shalaki. No, I'm sorry. As we say, we one body, because that's exactly everything that you were going to say. Is a prime example. When they kill us, the first thing, they'd be like, oh, well, looks like John was arrested back in 1995 for a bag of weed. I'm like, 95, this is 2021. Right. But like you said, little Junior goes and shoot up the school. Like you said, it looks like Junior had some mental issue problems. That's their first thing that they do. Right. Is, say they, they're mental, like you said, let's study it. And then, like you said, look at us like dirt. Like, yeah, the cop murdered him, but he did sell a bag of weed back in the day. So
right. He did get picked up for a little misdemeanor. So of course, this is they do this now. They look at juvenile delinquents and they look at the delinquencies that they commit and they act and they charge that, or they tag that as that's their best way of figuring out if this is going to be a career criminal. Right, if this is going to be somebody who becomes a criminal in the future, a bank robber or a murderer or a thief or whatsoever have you, that's how they look at us, man. You understand? And they look for ways and solutions to be able to fix oppressors, right? Because even if you look, because they will argue this all day. They will look that America is equal and they is equality, and they're doing these studies for everybody. They'll claim that, but it's so common sense, like. Even the solutions that you give, right? We can't get them. We can't get the solutions that you provide for these juvenile delinquents that rich white people can get. They have the resources to go into your multi-million-dollar facilities and stay in there for 6 months until they could be rehabilitated to come out and be adults. They have the resources to be able to do that. Us, we don't. We don't have those resources. So even though you found a study to fix yours, ours is still suffering from those mental disease, those mental disorders that we're living with. We're still suffering from PTSD. We're still suffering from malnutrition, suffering from, you understand, not having a mom, a mother, and a father in the household because my father is doped up on cocaine or crack or heroin. We're suffering from not having a warm meal every day. We're suffering from our environment being so disgusting and wasted that we go to school and tear everything around us up. We're suffering from all of these things that you put us in. You understand? But you don't fix us. You don't fix our condition. You fix yours. You gentrify your cities. Well, when has anybody ever thought of gentrifying the hood? And when I say gentrifying, when has anybody ever thought, well, let's tear down these projects and build up better projects? Why don't we let's upgrade the quality of water in these low income households? Let's upgrade the quality of airflow in these low quality households. Let's give them a fucking plant or something. Who knows? You understand anything? Who has anybody ever thought about that?
I'm sorry, Adawan, but that's such a heavy point
Mm-hmm.
you just brought up, because if I may, I can give an example of where they attempted somewhat to do that.
Don't tell me it's some little trees in the front of the stoop.
No, not quite. So I mentioned a minute ago, I'm from Forest Hills, Queens, right? Around the corner from my building is these projects, right? They're called Forest Hills Co-ops.
Okay.
But really, they were actually owned by the New York City Housing Authority. They were projects.
Mm-hmm.
When the city decided to build them, they purposely wanted to build projects in a better neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they built them. They're like, okay, we're going to build a housing project in a neighborhood that we know is a better neighborhood. It has some different people. It's more diverse. It shouldn't be as bad as right near the expressway, whatever. But guess what? The Caucasians and the Amalek in the neighborhood protested.
Yeah, they're not going.
They said, "Hell no, you're not building no project in our neighborhood."
Right.
And they went out there and they stood on the grounds with picket signs and said, "Nope, you're not doing it. We're not allowing it." Yada yada. Until the New York City Housing Authority came to an agreement with them. They actually bargained with them and was like, "Okay, we'll build less buildings. They'll be smaller." And guess what? Instead of having completely black and Hispanic tenants, we'll make 60% of the tenants elderly people. And so what happened was they built it and it was all white people. It was all old Jewish people who were getting all of the Meals on Wheels and all the welfare and all of that stuff.
Mm-hmm. And
They only let in about maybe 35% blacks and Hispanics.
right.
So that was an example where they tried to say, hey, let's do this, let's make this project, there's low income housing, but put it in an area where we think it'll be better for these people. Probably the surrounding area will influence it to be cleaner,
Mm-hmm.
influence it to just, people will go to work and everything. They'll be able to be in a nice neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
And they completely shut it down.
It'll never work. What you got, Sid? Go ahead.
Piggyback off that, bro. Man, like I'm like the NYCHA, the New York City housing now, it was, a dwelling place for us, the projects, the blacks and Latinos. Now, just like you said, people don't even not paying attention that NYCHA is actually selling the projects.
They just sold it.
Yep. They're selling the projects to private owners. So now people that have lived there, raised their family there and probably was paying like maybe $200-$300 in rent. Them new people, them Edomites like, listen, we're gonna need 2 stacks, like $2,000.
Right.
How can and that's what it does. It pushes us out.
Right. And that also goes to show why voting won't help. You understand? Because people think, we vote and we'll get our people in the positions, right? No sweat. We'll vote and put our people in positions to be able to make decisions like that. But that's a prime example of how it don't matter who's in position. You see, America spoke. America spoke. You understand? Your vote means nothing You understand? What means something is us being into this truth, following these laws, statutes, commandments, and changing our life. You understand? So we don't got to live in no damn projects. I got some great ideas for the projects I'm gonna build. I got some great ideas. I got some ideas for what my house is gonna be. You remember Taiwan, right? You know what I'm talking about. 6 inches off of the ocean. My shit better float. If water better not touch my goddamn house. You understand? It's gonna be some hell to pay. You understand? But all of this, man, is, and this is so sad because they know this. They study this stuff. They constantly have conversations on how do they fix the hood. And they say, does gentrifying fix the ghetto? No, you move it. It moves the ghetto. You understand? And and here's one of the questions that a professor asked me specifically in a class, and I just, I didn't know if he was trying to be funny because he called on me. I was like, I hope this ain't one of them everybody hate Chris moments. And this mug right here think he gonna call on me because I'm the intelligent nigga in the class. But he calls on me, and he asked the most dumbest question I've ever heard in my life. He said, with all the poverty and crime rate and just you understand, the low condition and low income communities such as projects, ghettos, high rises, places like that, do you think it'll be more beneficial to remove resources and move it, or to put more resources into the area? This was a question that an Edomite actually asked me, straight faced, and wanted me to answer. And I guess had some idea that maybe I could have said, "Oh, we need to just gentrify the area and clean it up, like Master say to do," which makes no damn sense. You understand? But the problem with my answer is that it hurts America's pockets. My answer is, to hell with your goddamn high rise. To hell with that $5.6 million building you're building downtown. Take that $5.6 million building and build up boys and girls clubs if that's what we need in the community, right? Build up black-owned schools if that's what we need in the community. Build up more public schools that, because of low grades and test scores, that you shut down, which makes the public schools that all people have to go to so goddamn congested. Build up more schools so they can have 12 students to a room instead of 24. You understand? Build up more public transportation so they don't have to be congested and feel like riding the bus is the worst thing ever, so they have to rob somebody so they can buy a car. You understand? Build up more infrastructure, more corporations, more warehouses and companies that gives more jobs to black people, where they don't have to drive out of the inner city to go get a job, but they can stay right there. You understand? Take that money and use that resource right there. But of course, that hurts America. It hurts their pockets. You understand? Martin Luther King, this is probably the smartest thing he ever said. The smartest thing to me that Martin Luther King ever said is that he said this: what we got from America, we got at a bargain. Meaning the right to sit in the front of the goddamn bus, the right to sit at a restaurant with them, the right to sit in a movie theater with them, everything that we had to die and get dogs sucked on us for, spat on, lynched, beat up, everything that we fought for and lost lives for and got put in jail for, we got at a bargain of their price. Meaning it didn't cost America anything. It did not cost an absolute dime. It didn't cost a penny to just say, let those niggas sit at the countertop and spend money. It didn't cost nobody anything. And that's the only reason that it happened. Because America will not do anything for us that hurts them. They won't do it. You understand? It won't happen. So you can forget about it. Them fixing the black community, they'll use taxpayers' dollars and, build up a boys and girls club here and there. And they'll let it fall to piss. They won't upkeep the maintenance. They won't check on it to make sure the living is stable. They'll let it fall to all piss. And then they'll say, what? See, this is why we shouldn't spend resources in those communities. This is why we shouldn't do that. Meanwhile, back in the 60s, 70s, you got Italians running and destroying every goddamn thing, going crazy. But they don't say that about Italians, because Italians are not black and they're not cursed like we are. You understand? Keep going. Salakia.
And all that thou saidest thine hand unto, start of verse 20. Salakia, sir. The Lord shall send upon thee cursing, vexation, and rebuke, and all that thou settest thine hand unto for to do, until thou be destroyed, and until thou perish quickly, because of the wickedness of thy doings, whereby thou hast forsaken me.
And everything, all these little meetings that the Black Panther Party movement, you understand, the what's this dude, Marcus Garvey movement, everything that we set our hand to do, the Lord was going to destroy it, because he wasn't going to allow the Black Panther Party movement to work. Because why would he do that? We have to take emotions out of the things that we do. We have to take emotions out of it, and we have to be realistic. Why in the fuck, Salakia, would the Black Panther Party movement be the thing that saves Black people? Why? Why would the NFNC, not effort and around coalition, NFAC? Why would they picking up guns and trying to intimidate white people? Why would that not be allowed to reign supreme under the Lord? Why would it? You understand? Like, yeah, like why would it reign supreme under the Lord? Like, think about who the Lord is and think about what they stand for. Why would it reign supreme under the Lord? There's a reason why the Lord destroyed Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, the Nation of Islam. It's the reason why we're not prevailing. You understand? How many Black-owned colleges do you know of? But there is none. There is not one. How many Black-owned Fortune 500 companies do you know of? There is none. How many Black-owned stores do you know of? Very, very few. And they're half the time they're not thriving. You understand? They're closing down. You feel bad for you, be like, yeah, man, I'm gonna pay a little extra, just so you keep going. What you guys is?
Shalaki, that's it's like everything you're saying is things that I be bringing up, but if you're talking to somebody in the world, they don't know no better, so you're wasting your breath. But just what you said with the stores, I was just saying that. I was in East New York, Brooklyn, right? And there's these projects over there, they're called the Bammers, right? They're really bad, okay? They have, it's one of those neighborhoods where, the big police lights and police are policing you every day, the area. And it's crazy because I stood there, I stood on the corner and I just looked. And I said, the 99-cent store is the Chinese, the chicken spot, the Arabs. Chinese is like 2-3 Chinese restaurants on one block, and then you have 3 corner stores, 3 different Arabs. Well, they probably all related, that's how they do. And I'm saying to myself, what's in this store that's not in this store? That's not in this store.
Right.
And so I look.
They got the same Rellos in each one.
And it's like, you ain't, bro. But it's like we're surrounded, by the oppressor. It's like they give us no choice, And then instead of us looking at that to pick ourselves up to look better, it's like we just sink right into it deep. Right,
and it's like I said, it's all like I could really go into this very, very deep. Because just with my little bit of experience, just my small amount of experience, I will say I had a good professor. He had double, but he just in the small time of studying with him, you learn so much about what they could easily do that wouldn't even really hurt America's pockets. America could take infrastructure and give it to a Black. They could search for willing African-American business entrepreneurs, and they could take applications. You come with your business idea, what you want to sell, how you feel like your business would work, and they could pick which one would work. They could put someone in a building for 6 months free rent, a year of tax-free of non-taxes on the building, and they could help supply them with the product that they need to sell to make a successful business company. Now, that is what they should do for all of us. They should be doing that mass around America. They should be giving it to us. But let's say we're being diplomatic And let's say we're saying, okay, we understand that you don't want to hurt your pockets. No sweat. You help us build a successful company and you get your damn money back. Simple enough. You get your percentage of the money that you gave back by helping us build up successful black companies. But of course, that hurts America's pockets, even for a little bit. Even for a little bit. A loan. You wonder why it's so hard to get a loan? Because it hurts their pockets. And for you, it's not worth it. What you got, that one?
You bringing out some heavy points today, because you damn right that they're not gonna give us the loan. They'll give it to somebody else because it helps their pockets and it helps their infrastructure. But they rely so much on our dollars in the way that they do that it would completely be like, it would almost be like purposely making a bad investment. It would be like me putting 100 grand in a stock that I know is going down and is not coming back. I wouldn't do that. So they know if they build our infrastructure in that way and give us a bunch of companies and help us build our communities, they can't re-up. Because if we do what the Elamites do and just have exchange our dollars between each other, then who's going to buy all of their cars? Who's going to buy all their MacBooks? Who's going to buy all of their products? We're the number one consumers. They can't let that happen.
And God forbid that black people love each other one day. God forbid that. Because that's all it'll take. It'll take one nigga to come up with a car. And God forbid that we actually love each other. That we say, I ain't going to get that Corvette. I'm going to get that goddamn whatever, Bombi, whatever kind of car. I don't know what kind of car it'd be called, but we're going to buy that car and that's all we're going to be driving around. You see a bunch of niggas riding around in the new African-American whatever car that somebody created, right? Hopefully it'd be Israelite. They ain't calling themselves African-American. But you understand, like that, like, and here's the flip side towards it, because we could talk about what our oppressor does and what they could do all day. But the flip side again towards is just being a little bit more realistic. And realistically, if our oppressor did that, then that would be dumb on their end. It'd absolutely be stupid for our oppressor to start handing out infrastructure to us. Why? Because it definitely would take money away from him. He wouldn't be a superpower like he is. Like, you understand? Like when you think of government and presidential elections, a lot of the money that goes to fund these presidential and government elections and things like that comes from what? It comes from companies. It comes from places like BP, from Citgo. It comes from Golden Corral and Hardee's and McDonald's. These are all companies that make contributions. You give it to a bunch of niggas who give a damn about the presidential election anyway, that's one less check that you're not getting. You understand? And so America would be smart to not put people in power who would not support America in return. And that's exactly what would happen if black people started to love each other and we had the power to be able to create these types of things. But the reason why, and I'm going to take this all the way back to my point, but the reason why the Black Panther Party and the NFAC and none of these other things will ever live and that the Lord will destroy them is because if the Black Panther Party movement won, what would happen next? Let's say they won. Somehow they woke up and there was no more white people on earth and they got what they wanted. And now they wake up and there's just them. Then what would happen? You got something?
I was gonna tell you they're gonna turn on each other.
They're gonna start to kill each other.
That's right.
They're gonna lose a fight they're gonna win the fight against their oppressor, and then they are going to pick another fight with each other because they'll go back from being Black Panthers to being Crips and Bloods. They'll go back from being Black Panthers to being Christians and Muslims. They'll go back from being whatever they were to being against each other, which is because we are cursed in America. You understand? Because we're not like the Chinese man. We're not like the Amalek man. We're not like the African man. We are cursed in America, and so we can't love each other, and so it wouldn't work. And the Lord wouldn't want the Black Panther Party movement to work. So what? So he can allow a bunch of drug addicts to win? You think that's what the Lord would want? The Lord is going to allow a bunch of rapists and homosexuals and drug addicts and drug dealers to win this fight. The Lord don't want that. You understand? The Lord want brothers and sisters who came and followed what the Lord said to do, who was obedient to what he said to do, who changed their life, who stopped selling drugs, who stopped being homosexuals, who stopped being gangbangers, who stopped eating shrimp, crab, pork, and lobster. You understand? Who stopped celebrating Christmas and Thanksgiving and Halloween and stopped loving our oppressors so goddamn much and came and fought against their damn self. That's what the Lord wants. You understand? And that's who the Lord will allow to reign over this oppression. That's who the Lord wants to see win. Not no damn drug addicts with guns in their hand. That's not what the Lord is wanting, man. You understand? But of course, we don't have that because we are cursed, right? Go to Tom, we at. Tom, say go to verse 68.
It's the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 68. And the Lord shall
slide, do verse 64 real quick.
Verse 64. And the Lord shall scatter thee among all people, from the one end of the earth even unto the other, and there thou shalt serve other gods.
So now blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians were scattered among the face of the earth, and wherever we went, we were made to serve other gods, right? Keep going.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known.
Which neither thou nor thy fathers have known. So we are in America right now. We're worshiping Caesar Borgia. Our 20th generation above didn't know that. Or maybe I should go a little bit further. Before whatever generation came over here on boats did not know Caesar Borgia. We weren't worshiping that. We were probably worshiping some other god somewhere in Africa somewhere, but we didn't know this. And our fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, damn sure did not know this.
Right.
You understand? They followed the Most High, Yahweh in Hebrew, right? Keep going.
Even wood and stone.
Even what?
Wood and stone.
Even wood and stone. What is the wood and stone that we worship today? The one.
It's like, so the wood would be that Christian cross.
Christian cross around your neck, right? Keep going.
And the stone would be that Kaaba stone they bang their head up against in Islam.
The Kaaba stone for them filthy Islamic, Muslim, whatever the hell you want to call it. You understand? I still to this day, it's always some kind of Muslim, and Muslims get me. Muslims, like black Muslims, annoy me.
Ooh.
You understand?
I gotta show you a picture.
Yeah, no sweat.
Not after class, bro.
God.
I'm gonna show you a picture. I'm sorry, Victoria, to cut you off.
No, you good, because everybody jumped up like, damn, they annoy me too. God damn. What they do to y'all?
The same way you went to you was in all set. I was from elementary school. I went to a black Muslim elementary school, and bro, they had me dressed all kind of crazy. Salaki.
Muslims just annoy the hell out of me because they come off as so peaceful and loving. I'm like, nigga, do you remember 9/11? Nigga, Saddam Hussein, that nigga ring a bell like, bro, nigga, your religion is full of killers, nigga. Like you might as well embrace your terrorism, Mark, if that's what you're gonna do. Because I'm telling you, them Muslims over there ain't talking about no loving everybody and kissing people. No, hell no. They chopping heads off over there in Islam. You was a fake, God, nah, you're a fake Muslim, Mark. You're a fake ass Muslim because that's not what they doing. And it gives me, it's so crazy because, I always got to ask the question, if you're Islam, what people is that religion for? Because that was not started by black people. It wasn't. Who the hell did it come with? Muhammad? Who the hell is what, bro? And I mean, damn, I would love to say what nigga do you know named Muhammad, but of course now because of Islam, nigga, I know a nigga named Muhammad. I'm like, damn, you got heathen in your first and last name, brother. He a cool dude though, but damn, you understand? But Muslims get on my nerve, but like the brother said, that's correct. The Kaaba stone, right, is what we serve here. When you go in the prison system, you see nothing but Christians and Muslims. That's all you see, and they fill the church. I mean, they fill the prisons to this day, right? Keep going. Oh, you have something, sis? Go ahead.
Just Salaki real quick. We are really, I'm really enjoying this right here. I love the ISUPK.
But damn right, give her a hand. You understand? Hell yeah.
Because You talking about 9/11? Let's talk about yesterday, because I just posted that, bro. I was like, so let me get this right. They over there in Israel praying to Allah and then blowing up these children. You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's exactly what they're doing.
yeah, and then like with the brothers, you know, that come out too, like you said, you know, the brother come out, he got a kufi on, he got a cross on his arm, you know, a Buddha on the other one, just be all confused.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, they know that. And then it's like they teach that, like, apparently Islam, they study from all different kinds of religions and books and stuff like that, and they just it's really dumb and it's confusing. It don't make no damn sense. I thought growing up that Muslims just followed the Quran and that was it. They didn't mess with anything else. But apparently, you know, they listen to everything, which is why they pull scriptures from the Bible as well. Which is they just like ran through whores. That's what they are. You understand? It's disgusting. But keep going, Salakia. You can go to verse 68.
Verse 68.
Mm-hmm.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
Now we started off with Moses talking to a group of people, telling them the laws that they would have to follow, and then telling them, you understand, like if we did not follow the laws, that the curses would come upon us, and if we did follow the laws, and the blessings would come upon us. Now, we already are past the book of Exodus, so we've left Egypt, we've left under the captivity of Pharaoh, and now this is a prophecy that was going to happen again because we decided to not follow after the Lord, right? So he said, what?
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again. Now, back when we were under the captivity of Pharaoh, that land in northern Africa was not called Egypt. It was called Mizraim, right? Or Mizraim. And then after that, or sometime after that, it would become called Kemet. And then after that, it would become called Egypt, because Egypt was synonymous with our slavery, right? That word Egypt, you understand, in the Greek is Egyptos, which means bondage or house of bondage. So right now, Moses is saying, you understand, Deuteronomy is saying, and the Lord shall bring thee into bondage again, because we already left it. We already left slavery. We had the opportunity to go back and serve the Lord. And it would have just been it. You understand? That would have just been it. And we would have been cool. It would have been cool. It would have been good. But we decided to build the golden calf. We decided to celebrate 4th of July. We decided to celebrate Christmas and Halloween. And so the Lord is saying you'll go back into slavery again. Keep going.
Come. With ships.
With what?
With ships.
With ships. Now, for those people who say that the Israelites are not Blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians, then what nation of people on this earth went into slavery by the way of cargo slave ships? What nation of people on this earth went into slavery by cargo slave ships? Give online. Let's see if anybody online can get it. No? Nobody want to take a shot? Want to take a guess? Nobody online? All right, go ahead, sis. Come with it.
Us?
Who's us?
Blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans.
The so-called niggas in America went into slavery on cargo slave ships. You understand? The Chinese didn't go into slavery on cargo slave ships. The Jewish man, even with his Holocaust, it ain't have nothing to do with no slave ships. No water was involved. No oceans, right? The Russians, they didn't go into slavery with cargo slave ships. The Hawaiians did not go into slavery with cargo slave ships. Who else? Our oppressor, did not go into slavery with cargo slave ships. Now he got to America on ships, but when he got here, he went to war. He didn't go to slavery. He went to war off of them ships. But there's only one group of people on this planet Earth in history, as history writes itself, that has ever went into slavery by the way of cargo slave ships. And that people is who? Black people. It's the only people. And this is the Bible saying this. You understand? This is what the Bible is saying, that black people went into slavery with cargo slave ships, which means that black people are who? They're the same people that Moses was talking to outside of Egypt. It's the same people. You understand? Keep going. Get a little bit more.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, meaning from where I speak to you now, from where we're speaking to each other now, you won't see it no more. I mean, there's gonna come a time where you're gonna go into slavery, and from where we speak, you won't see this no more, because you'll be gone and you'll never come back here again. Right? Keep going.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies. When we got off, I think what 70 or 60% of the slave trade came up when we got off the boats. We landed in Charleston, South Carolina. You understand? When we got off in Charleston, South Carolina, we were sold. We didn't fight in loads of war and became slaves. We were sold. 55, 25, 25, 25, 130, whatever. You understand? That old heathen talk. That's that heathen language right there, Tabawan. Go ahead, sis.
Sir, I wanted to, when you brought that up, I wanted to ask. So we came to Charleston, right? And so, like, I had family down in that area, and it amazed me because when I went to visit them, they talk like Benjamites. I don't know if you know this. Like, yeah, they talk like Benjamites, and they say it's Geechee. And so I wanted to know, so like when they came over, like, you know how we learn Hebrew, we speak Hebrew. Do you know of what language they were speaking to when they came over?
They were speaking all different kinds of languages.
Yeah, okay.
You understand? All different things and worshiping different things and serving all different things, which is why they had to come over. You understand? And so it's very, because of course, some of us was taken here to America. Some of us was taken to South America. Some of us was taken to islands. Some of us was taken to the West Indies. Some of us was taken to the Caribbeans. Some of us, we was taken everywhere. You understand? All you had was white people who saw a new land and they wanted to go and conquer it. So you look at Central and South America, before they conquered that land, they had to do what? They had to rid the land of the savages, which would have been your ancient Mayans and the Incans. So they had to go and literally murder all of them. Those who came here to North America had to do what? Before they conquered it, they had to kill all the savages, which would have been your Seminolean Indians and your Gadite Indians, right? Who they had to go and give smallpox to and murder them. So they had to clear the land, rid the land, and then lay claim on it. From that claim, they weren't about to build up South America on their own. Nor were they going to build up Central America or the West Indies on their own. So they used what? They used this flow of 99 million. Well, Salaki, that's how many of us died. But that flow of us Israelites who were coming from Africa being brought into the slave trade, they were being sold. So somebody would have said, yeah, let me take these and we're going to ship them here. Let me take these and ship them there. But 70% of us came first into Charleston, South Carolina. That was where we massively were being sold at. You understand? That was like how you got Nike, but then in Seattle, you got the Nike factory. That's Charleston, South Carolina for slave trade. You want the best slaves and you want the right off the boat, best ones, best selections, you would have went to Charleston, South Carolina. That would have been a place to be, right? You understand? So that's what happened. So yeah, you probably have a mixture of everything down there because that's where we all went to, right? So where we at? Oh yeah, slide. So we can just finish this out.
And there you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen,
for slave man and slave woman. Keep going.
and no man shall buy you.
And no man shall buy you. You understand? Meaning what? That no man is going to free you. When you have anything when you have something in captivity, like say you go into a grocery store and you see a Kit Kat bar. That Kit Kat bar is owned by the owner of that store. The only way to justly free that Kit Kat bar is to pay for it. That's it. But nobody would come and buy us back. You understand? Africans would not come and buy their family back. Africans would not come and fight for their family back. Nobody would come and be diplomatic to get their family back. It wouldn't happen. This scripture basically is saying that blacks, Hispanics, Native American Indians are enslaved in America, and we are the children of Israel. You understand? And that is the truth that America has been hiding for 400 years. You understand? And no one has ever tried to free us. Somebody has something?
No, it's just like we keep it.
Yeah, no sweat, sis. We on one accord.
Yes.
You understand? But that is the truth, man. For anybody who says that this is a hoax and we are not really the Hebrew Israelites and so on and so forth. You understand? My question to you is that if we're not the Hebrew Israelites, then what the hell are we? Right. You understand? What the hell are we? Are we just niggas? Are we just black or coon or spicks or wetbacks, savages? What the hell is it, man? Of course you don't have an answer because you're stupid. Right. And so I'll make that quick. So don't hold your breath on the answer that whoever said this nonsense would ever give. Don't hold your breath because you're gonna die waiting on the answer, because they're gonna say some idiotic buffoonery as we African American, which was a coin term by Jesse Jackson in 1964 or 84, something like that. They gonna say some nonsense like that. But no sweat. What you guys says? Go ahead.
Oh, I swear, like I love you guys.
Most High in Christ.
Once again, I was about to say the same thing you just said. Like, you know, now it's pride. I'm sorry. It's Shalaki. It's pride for me to be like, what? African American? No, honey, I'm Princess Kaya, tribe of Zebulon. You know, I can say with your chest, you know, type thing. And they like, what? And they say the same thing you just said. Mm-hmm. You're like, I ain't no Hebrew. I'm African American. And that just grunts. It's like you have no identity. You know, just taking on with
they African American. I say you a Jesse Jackson. That's what you are. No sweat. You a Jesse. You a son of Jesse Jackson. He son your ass. You understand? But that's no sweat, man. If you want to learn the truth about the Bible and stop living in your wicked life and learning these retarded, whatever you want, hypocrisies that's being taught by your homosexual pastor, man, and you want to learn the truth about what's inside these records, man, then come get in the class in the ISUPK on the Command General Yohana, man. You understand? And with that, I'm going to pass the class over to Priest and Officer Thabawan.
ISUPK security announcements. We are the ISUPK, started out of 1 West, Salakia, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commandant General Yohana. New rules for brothers and sisters. When a new brother or a sister comes into the school, they are off limits for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to shed themselves of the world. After 6 months, if a brother or a sister has an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission from the head to speak to a brother or a sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother or sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother or sister will get permission from the head to marry. Tithes, which is a commandment. You can find this in Numbers 18:21 and Malachi chapter 3, verses 8 through 10. Means 10th in Hebrew and is pronounced ma'ashara. 10% of every penny of any increase the Lord gives you, you give to the treasury department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like to give. Upcoming Holy Convocation will, of course, be the Feast of First Fruits. We're currently in that feast, but the actual convocation will take place on June 24th to June 21st. Slacky at sundown. So prepare for that, you know what I'm saying? And more information will come out, you know what I'm saying, within the coming weeks. Remind Akim and Akwathan to check on social media, such as isupk.com, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and so on for ISUPK events and materials. All the cookouts The dates for the cookouts have been released in all of the zones. You know what I mean? So you want to go on Facebook, check it. I can't remember it off top. I know we got the New York cookout,
It's New York, Chicago,
Florida,
Las Vegas,
and Houston,
Texas.
Most High in Christ. So we got 5 cookouts taking place. You know what I mean? So we'll be back in Houston. I think I asked like the day after the Passover, like, when is the cookout? You know what I'm saying? So we back in Houston, we in Vegas, New York, Chicago, Florida. You know what I'm saying? Most High in Christ. So again, get all your affairs in order for those things. Don't forget to tune into Commander Julian Hunter Black Watch every Monday at 9 p.m. Tune into, of course, you got Cross the Line Radio. Good night. No sweat. I'm just okay. Swaps. Yeah, we got Cross the Line Radio, all the different podcasts, Boot Up or Shut Up. You know what I'm saying? One West Radio out in Cali. Here in North Carolina, we got a show called Unplugged from the Matrix. Just a bunch of different, you know what I'm saying, channels and outlets to spread this truth. Make sure you tune into all of those things. Salaki, and if I may, if a brother wants to be a trooper in the school, then he needs to start wearing all black, which includes black boots, shirts, pants, headband, or scarf. And with that, I mod him, which means to stand. Due to being over the time,